Okay, we're going to do another two-parter, and we're going to talk about two topics that keep coming up, and that is violence versus sex in literature. And it's specifically going to talk about when is it too much and when is it... Because, yeah, I've had a couple videos now about how much I hate all the porn that is in literature, but then, you know, something that always comes up when you talk about sex in anything is, well, you're okay with violence. Yeah, that's because there actually is a difference. And we're going to start with violence. So first of all, I understand the argument really boils down to, well, violence is unnatural or cruel or whatever. It can lead to harm, death, etc. And whereas sex is supposed to be this natural thing, which is true, and can lead to life and procreation and enjoyment. Yes, these things can be true. However, one can be depicted and the other can't. And this is for some very, very important distinctions of, well, what is, at the end of the day, like, the point of media and literature and all that. And while there is the enjoyment of it, which is why I do think there is a place for some porn sometimes, although increasingly I'm not thinking that. Other part of it is that literature and media has always been a way to explore and discuss topics of morality, human nature, explore our world, our lives, the meaning of life, etc. And the reality is that violence plays a very, very important role in all this. So despite the fact that it does cause harm and can cause annihilation and etc., the reality is if you watch even young children, violence is something that is baked into us. So when children don't get their way, they'll hit. You'll see boys wrestling, you'll see girls hitting each other and fighting and everything. I've even had it with myself, like my instinct, you know, when I've been with my kids and someone's like come at me, my instinct is to like protect my kids with violence, and you know, you have to stop yourself. And then there's also the like, you know, when one child snatches a toy from another child, the child will hit that child. Now, where do they learn this? And you can say, well, they learn it on TV, they learn it from their parents, they learn it from... No, they don't. It's actually something that's instinctually in them, because there's been plenty of examples of parents who never watch TV, never expose their children, never hit their children, not even like a slap on the butt, right? And yet the child knows to hit. That's because it's there. It's there from a very young age to protect ourselves and to protect the ones we love and to protect our things. We are violent. That's tribal nature. That's everything. What violence in media does is helps to guide, to teach you when it is appropriate to use violence and when it is not, especially in media for young children. Now, this does not mean you should have gore. Gore has its own special place, which might even be on par with the porn. But violence, even gun violence, knife violence, weapons, right? Children need to learn from a very young age when it is appropriate to use violence and when it is not. So what do these stories serve? So first of all, they tend to be simple stories like, hey, Johnny hit me, what do you do, right? And the reason, and then you have like more complicated stories where you'll have like superheroes and, you know, I am Superman, I save the day, this is the bad guy, I take care of the bad guy. And this goes into the video I've done before about when can the hero kill, right? And the hero being above such things, but still being allowed to use violence when it is appropriate. This is a lesson, I mean, I think it's a lesson we all need to learn, to be honest, right? And even to expand on that video, part of the problem that we have today is that we don't have like good versus bad. We keep having these like gray, morally gray stories where like, well, people are people, and it's like, okay, a people are people story needs to stay in a people are people story. If you introduce violence into that, you just muddied the waters and made it so complicated, and that is why people are not responding well to these stories, because there's no clear cut like, this is the bad guy who deserves the violence to happen to him. If it's someone who is human and you humanize them, then first of all, are they really a villain? But second of all, we feel squeamish, and that's because from a very young age we are taught when it is appropriate to use violence and when it is not. And we need to see that depicted in our media and our literature. So my whole thing is violence is pretty much okay. The line to draw is probably when it's overly graphic or gore or snuff. And that, yeah, that takes its own place. But I think we all instinctually don't even like that anyway. I think most people don't like excessive gore, don't like excessive blood, yeah. And we regulate that to a place of this is bad. And that is actually a very clear-cut line. Like, there are so many iterations of violence before you get there. That is the absolute extreme. And we do even now and again allow for a slasher film or something, you know, to come in, but we keep it there and don't let children see that. But we do need to express some violence in our stories for the lesson of how to express violence. Like, it is there, it is instinctual, and children do need to be taught when and where and how to use it. So again, violence, it's a very clear line. It is mostly okay. And I know that's like, but still. And to take it out of stories or to do what I just said with the morally gray is doing everyone a disservice, and especially children, because then children are not being exposed to violence in a healthy way. Like, we don't want children to learn about violence from a terrorist attack. We want them to learn about it from Mr. Rogers. I know, as weird as that might be, but that's what it is. That's where it needs to come in, and it needs to come in early. It's something I do with my kids all the time. I have to, you know, teach them when it is appropriate to defend themselves. Most of the time it's not, because they're just fighting over a toy, but then sometimes it's crucial that they know to fight back and say no to someone who genuinely wants to hurt them. So we need to be okay with violence, and we need to stop pretending like it's this big no-no because it's a negative thing. Yeah, it's a negative thing, but it's also a part of life. And it can be a part of life in a good way. I mean, superheroes, and why do kids overwhelmingly like superhero movies, like pulp action movies, like Star Wars, like Westerns? Like, there's tons of violence in those movies, and kids gravitate towards them. And not just boys, girls too. Girls also like superhero movies because it's a safe way to express something. Even that argument of like video games causing violence, no, as far as I'm aware, what they've really proven is that like video games actually are a way to express some of these more violent tendencies that humans have in a very healthy manner. And when we take it away, and we also take away a lot of their other things, like the fact that there's no literature for boys anymore, and yeah, even some of the things, like I was saying in my last video about the, feminization of men, that's where a lot of the violent tendencies that we see in the real life come out. Because look, they need a place to express it, and they need a place to learn about it. And so do girls. Yeah. So, violence, not a problem. Sex, on the other hand,